Hello, friends. Sleep Tight Stories, Sleep Tight Relax, and Sleep Tight Science are now available to play on Story Button, the device that makes it easy to listen to our shows and more without having to use a phone or tablet. This month, you can save $10 at storybutton.com when you use the code SLEEPTIGHT. Story Button, the home of imagination. Hello, I'm Sheryl, and this is Sleep Tight Relax, a calming bedtime show for the young and young at heart. In tonight's story, we return to the Three Rivers Forest, where we meet Randy the raccoon. Randy loves playing in the forest with his friends and dreams of winning a special award for doing something really helpful. He thought he needed to do something big to win, so he started looking for big ways to help around the forest. But when he passed by friends who needed help with small things, he didn't help them because he thought those tasks were too small to win the award. Later, Randy realized that helping others, even in small ways, made him and his friends happy. So he helped his friends with their problems, like fixing a dam, getting a bird's nest down from a tree, and finding lost acorns. In the end, Randy won the award for all his small acts of kindness, learning that being helpful doesn't have to be about doing big things, but about making a difference with little acts of kindness. Before we get started with our story, let's take a few brief moments to relax. Just like Randy has a cozy den to rest in, let's find your comfy place and get ready to close your eyes. Imagine you are in a peaceful part of the forest, surrounded by trees and the sounds of nature. Close your eyes and pretend you're smelling the fresh forest air. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, counting to 4 in your head. Imagine the air is filled with the calming scent of pine trees and forest flowers. Hold your breath for a count of 4, just like Randy the raccoon pauses to think about his next act of kindness. Imagine you're gathering all the kindness you can while you hold your breath. Now open your mouth slightly and breathe out slowly, counting to 6. As you breathe out, picture yourself helping one of Randy's friends in the forest, like fixing a dam or finding acorns, spreading kindness with your breath. After breathing out, pause for a moment before your next breath. Take this moment to think of what small acts of kindness you can do to help others. While listening to the story, try this breathing exercise 3 to 5 times. Each time you breathe in, imagine a different part of the forest or a different friend you're helping. Each breath out is a new act of kindness. Let's continue with our story. Randy the raccoon learns about kindness. Randy and the gang had just finished playing near one of their favorite ponds deep in the heart of the Three Rivers Forest. Like many summer days in Brudenell, Randy and his friends loved to get together to play as much as they could. Once winter came, it was much more difficult. Some of the gang didn't like winter much, but they all loved the warm summer sun. Randy was known by all in the forest for his mischievous grin, bright eyes, and his playful nature. Of course, like many raccoons, he also had a cool-looking mask and a bushy tail striped with rings of gray and black. Many raccoons living in the Three Rivers Forest also like to roam far and wide, visiting many of the human houses in search of tasty treats. But not Randy. He liked to stay close to home. On his walk home, Randy started to think about the annual gathering that those who lived in the Three Rivers Forest had. It was a big deal, a day when everyone came together to celebrate, share stories, and play games. Sometimes, even some humans came to watch. But the best part, at least for Randy, was the Red Leaf Award. This award was given to someone who did something really helpful for others. Randy dreamed of winning it, not just to have the award, but to show everyone he could be more than just the funny raccoon who loved to play tricks and games. Randy's heart was set on doing something big that would make everyone say, "Wow, Randy really is the most helpful raccoon in the forest." He wanted his friends to see him in a new light, not just as the raccoon who was fun to be around, but as someone who made a real difference. As Randy walked, he thought about what he could do to win the award. Maybe he could organize a big forest cleanup near where the humans walked. They were better than in the past, but they still left some litter here and there. Or maybe he could find a way to help the older animals with their tasks. They have worked hard all their lives, so shouldn't they have some help? But whatever it was, Randy thought it had to be super big, because if it was super big, that would get everyone's attention. The ideas kept coming, each one seeming better than the last. But he just couldn't think of that one big thing. He kept visualizing over and over again how great it would be to be recognized for being so kind. Randy was so lost in his thoughts that he almost missed the left turn on the hidden path to his home. He laughed, imagining how silly he would look, lost in his own neighborhood, because he was dreaming about receiving an award. But dreaming was the easy part. Randy knew that if he wanted to win the Red Leaf Award, he'd have to do more than just think about it. He'd have to put his ideas into action. But what would he do? Whatever it was, he had to start tomorrow, and he would think of ways to be helpful and do something that mattered. That night, Randy lay in his cozy den, staring up at the little specks of light that filtered in through the entrance. The forest outside was quiet, but Randy's mind was loud with plans and possibilities. He was determined to find a way to show his friends and neighbors just how much he cared about them. The next morning, Randy woke up with the sun. "Time to get started," he said to himself. He stretched, yawned, and set out with a new sense of purpose. As he walked through the forest, he paid extra attention to everything around him, looking for inspiration on how to make a big difference. As he was walking, he helped a family of ducks cross a busy path, picked up litter along the stream near the human's path, and even offered to watch Sammy the squirrel's cousins while their parents gathered food. Days turned into weeks, and Randy kept looking for the big ways to be helpful. As was his nature, when he was walking thinking about the big thing, he would stop to help others with small things, like helping a beetle flipped onto its back, Other times, they were maybe a bit bigger, like organizing a group to patch up an old badger's den before the rains came. But despite all this time, he couldn't think of something big to do. These small things he did were something he always did. They weren't big enough. At this point, he started to get frustrated because he couldn't think of a way to be super helpful. These small things I do don't help, he thought. One sunny afternoon, he strolled by the river, where he saw Buddy the beaver. Buddy looked worried and was working hard to fix a leak in his dam. Water was trickling through and making a small puddle on the ground. Randy watched for a moment, considering if he should offer his paws to help. But then he thought, fixing a leak is a small task. It won't really show everyone how helpful I can be. I need to focus on finding the big things from now on. So he waved to Buddy and moved on, still searching for his big chance to shine. Not long after, Randy spotted Lily the bird fluttering around a tree in distress. The wind had blown her nest to a high branch, and it was difficult for her to reach. Lily's chirp sounded sad and worried. Randy could easily climb the tree and get her nest for her, but again he thought, helping Lily is nice, but it's such a simple thing. It won't get me the Red Leaf Award. I need to focus on finding the big things from now on. So he gave Lily some encouraging words and kept going, leaving her to solve the problem. Later that day, Randy came across Sammy the squirrel, who looked upset. Sammy had lost a stash of acorns he'd been saving for the winter. They were scattered all over, hidden among the leaves and roots. Randy knew he had a good eye for finding things and could probably help Sam quickly. But once more, he hesitated. Finding acorns is helpful, sure, but it's not the kind of big, important thing I need to be doing to win the award. I need to focus on finding the big things from now on, he thought. Randy continued on his way with a sympathetic nod to Sammy, leaving Sammy to search on his own. With each opportunity Randy passed by, he felt a growing sense of unease. Was he really doing the right thing by waiting for a big, grand gesture to show his helpfulness? Deep down, Randy knew he wanted to help Buddy, Lily, and Sammy, but his desire to win the Red Leaf Award had clouded his judgment. He began to realize that maybe being helpful wasn't about the size of the action, but about the difference it made, no matter how small. Maybe I was being helpful before, he thought. At least I was doing something for my friends and community, and I do what I can to help them. The next morning, Randy headed straight to Buddy the beaver's dam. He found Buddy still struggling with the leak, looking more worried than ever. Need a hand with that, Buddy? Randy offered with a smile. Together, they worked on the dam, with Randy fetching sticks and mud for Buddy to patch up the leak. In no time at all, the dam was as good as new, and the puddle began to recede. Buddy's relief and gratitude filled Randy with a warmth he hadn't expected. He realized that this feeling of helping a friend was its own reward. Feeling better, Randy then remembered Lily the bird and her unreachable nest. Climbing trees was something Randy excelled at, so he made his way to Lily's tree. With careful movements, he climbed to the branch where the nest was stranded. Gently, he picked it up in his mouth and climbed back down. placing the nest in a better place for Lily. The joy and thanks in Lily's eyes were brighter than the sunniest day in the forest. Randy felt happy, knowing he had made a real difference for Lily and her future chicks. Lastly, Randy sought out Sammy the squirrel, who was still frantically searching for his lost acorns. Randy put his keen eyesight and sharp memory to work. He darted around, looking under leaves and around tree roots, gathering the scattered acorns. Before long, he had found most of Sammy's stash. Sammy was overjoyed, chattering his thanks as he hurried to secure his acorns for the winter. Watching his excitement, Randy felt a sense of pride. He had helped his friend in a meaningful way, and it felt amazing. Randy had started to realize that it wasn't about doing something big for the sake of recognition. It was about seeing a need and doing what he could to meet it. Small acts of kindness were great. As the day of the annual gathering arrived, the animals of the Three Rivers Forest were excited. Animals of all sizes came together to celebrate, share, and enjoy each other's company. As the time came to announce the winner of the Red Leaf Award, Randy listened, but was no longer concerned about winning. Helping others was its own reward. To his surprise, Oliver the owl, the elder of the forest, stepped forward and called out, "This year's Red Leaf Award goes to Randy the raccoon for his many small acts of kindness that have made a significant difference in our forest." A wave of applause and cheers erupted throughout the gathering, but Randy felt a different kind of happiness. He had learned that being truly helpful didn't require grand gestures or seeking recognition. It was about the little things, the small acts of kindness that mattered most. From that day forward, Randy continued to help his friends in any way he could, big or small, knowing that each act of kindness was a step towards making their world a better place. The forest thrived, not just because of Randy, but because his actions inspired others to look for ways to be kind and helpful too. If you are still awake, I would like you to whisper to yourself or just say in your mind, "I am a good friend who cares and shares. I find joy in helping others and making them smile. I can make my dreams come true by being kind and brave. I am calm, relaxed, and peaceful." Good night. Sleep tight.